everyone, it's Casty and welcome back to my channel. So welcome to another reading vlog. I feel like I'm doing a lot right now and I probably just because I'm filming them back to back. Today's reading vlog is going to be a fun one. It is going to be finishing books that I have been reading for a year. I'm currently in March and one of my goals on my TBR was get these certain 2 books on my TBR so I could finish them because I've been reading them for a year or almost a year. It's also Final Book Support Group, a readathon by Steph Loves, and both of these are in series, so I wanted to get them on the TBR because of that as well. But one of them has been on my Goodreads currently reading for basically a year. I think it's like 11 months. And the other one I was smart enough not to put on my currently reading, but it would be on there for more than a year, I think. And I just need to get them finished or else I don't know if I ever will. It's March 12th. So I have 2 weeks of March left, so I think I should be able to finish both of these. For sure one and most of the other. Let's get into what I'll be reading in this reading vlog. The book that is on my currently reading on Goodreads for 11 months is European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss. This is the second book in the Athena Club series. The first one is The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. I read that in March of last year, and I started this one in April of last year. I never finished it. So it says I'm on page 162, but I did actually listen to a couple pages of this at the gym one day. So I'm probably on like 166 or something. Like nothing crazy. Actually, I'm gonna chunk into this so I can tell you what it's about to a certain extent because it is the second book in the series, so I can't tell you fully what is going on. In the first book, we have all these characters that are linked to a lot of classic literature. A lot of them are seen as the daughters, so we'll just say that, but it doesn't really work for all of them. We've got connection to Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Rappaccini, Moreau, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson are in this as well. Some of them are the daughters, some of them are like the creations. So we follow Mary Jekyll and she is trying to figure out what happened to her dad and find the truth. She's also very, very poor at this point. Most of the clues point to Hyde, to find, like, figure out what happened to her dad, the truth, because it's believed there's a connection there. And also with finding him, there's a reward, so she gets a 2-for-1 if she finds him. When looking for Hyde, she ends up finding his daughter, Diana. And then there's also some murders going on in London where this is set, and all of this ends up connecting her to Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. As they're trying to figure out clues to find Hyde and all that, they start meeting the other characters, which leads to a downward spiral of finding out about a secret society. A really fun part of these books is these parts here where the characters are actually writing a novel like this is them writing the novel, and so those parts are them interrupting, being like, hey, that didn't actually really happen, or you're changing what I said, blah blah blah. And it's really fun. I really liked the audiobook for the first one. And so the second one, we're just following the fallout from the first one. Basically, they're wanting to help another woman who's going through a lot of the same things that these other characters went through by being creations of these mad scientists, to be honest. So some characters go off to help this individual, and then other characters are on a different task. I think this task of trying to help this one particular character takes them all over Europe. This is a 700-page book, or just under 700 pages. 706 pages, and I'm on 160 something, so I still have quite a few pages left. But like I said, I really like the audiobook, so I'm hoping that'll make it a little bit easier. I can listen to it on the way to work and stuff. Like I mentioned, I did try to listen to it at the gym a little bit. Sometimes I just can't focus, so that was a little hard, but maybe once I get back into this book a little bit more, it'll be a little bit easier. Sit down and read some of it, and then listen to it a little bit more easily. I remember, I think, most of what happened in this beginning part. It's really just a setup. I just am not sure if I'm gonna remember every name and their like relevance, just because there are so many characters in here, not just with the girls, the main girls, but also with like the people that they're trying to stop and the people that they're trying to help and all of that. So there are a lot of characters in here, so I'm a little worried about that. I think I'm gonna read that one first because I feel like I could read it faster than this other one, because the other book in this reading vlog is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. Yeah, I still haven't read this, and it's been over a year since it came out, and I did get it. I pre-ordered it, but I got it like a week late. I can't remember if I actually started this in February last year or in March, but I did start it, and I read just like the prologue, and I didn't really enjoy the prologue, and that's why I kind of just kept putting it off. It wasn't my favorite, but I loved the first book. The first book was my favorite book of 2022, so why haven't I read this yet? I don't know. I'm scared. Because I know a lot of people are disappointed by this. I know most people still enjoyed it, but they were disappointed to a certain extent. So yeah. And also, come on, it's huge. Since this one's also huge, I think it's like 800 pages or something. 801 pages. This is probably 540 pages. 1,300 pages to read in the next 2 weeks. And this one I didn't listen to the audiobook for the first one because I don't think I could get access to it. Are now both on Audible, and I did cancel my Audible, or I put my Audible subscription on hold, but I do have this one already. So I'm gonna listen to the audiobook for this one and hopefully I enjoy it. The first one in this series is House of Earth and Blood. In this city, there have been a chain of crimes, and we have our main character, Bryce, who is half fae, half human, and for some reason we find out, but she has a connection to these crimes. They believe that they found whoever was committing these crimes, put them in jail, and then flash forward 2 years later, these crimes happen again. We have Bryce, she's kind of a party girl. She is asked to help solve these crimes because of her close connection to them. She's given the help and protection of fallen angel Hunt Athalar, who, love him, to help her and protect her, because there are, obviously it's dangerous because of these crimes. There's a lot more to it, but that's just the basic idea without giving anything too much away. It's a fantasy romance, and I'm just nervous, but I think once I get a good chunk into it, I'll be fine. 2 chunky books to read in this, but I've been reading them both for a year, so I'd like to finally finish them, and they both work for Final Book Support Group, because it's not only Final Books, so it's continuing on series, which this one is the second in a trilogy, and this one is the last book that is out at the moment. So that would be good for just continuing on my series, because I have gotten into the habit and the problem of not finishing series. I used to be really good at it, but I haven't been. That's the plan for this reading vlog. That was a really long intro. I'm excited, so like I said, I'm gonna start reading this one first. Hello, it is Thursday now. I just checked and I started this vlog on Sunday, but I am halfway through European travel for The Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss, so I figured I'd do a little update for you. I don't know how I'm feeling about this. I'm not loving it, but I'm not hating it. I'm just kind of bored. There are parts that are interesting, but it just feels like there's been a lot of nothing going on. But I don't know if it's just like I'm not in the mood for this and I'm just forcing myself to read it. But I don't know. I don't really know what I should do. If I should keep reading or if I should get to the end of the chapter that I'm in the middle of and then pick up House of Sky and Breath, because I'm a little bit more interested in that at the moment, because yesterday, which was like the 15th of March, Crescent City 3 was announced. So exciting. It comes out in January of next year, so like 10 months from now. So it has like kind of reinvigorated my interest in it. Not that I wasn't interested in it, but you know, it's just like a little bit of a push. So I might do that. I'm currently on page 354, which is exactly halfway through, or just over halfway through, because there's 706 pages in this. I have 6 hours and 17 minutes left on the audiobook because because I'm listening to it on 2x speed. So that's still like a good chunk of time, and I'm just not obsessed with this at the moment. So I'm kind of talking myself into it. So this chapter ends on 367, I think. So I'll probably finish this chapter today, and then maybe I'll just put this down for a bit and pick up House of Sky and Breath. Because yeah, I feel like maybe I'm just more in the mood for this. I don't know, but it's the 16th, so I have like 15 days left in the month. I don't know why I keep thinking like the month is like over just because it's halfway over. It just feels like the whole month is over. So I need to stop thinking about that. I just talked myself into it, but I'm going to get to page 367 with this one and then pick up House of Sky and Breath. I am technically already on page 28 of 800. But I'm just gonna go back to the beginning of chapter 1. But I don't want to reread the prologue because that was not interesting to me. I guess I should say, with this one, we're going back and forth pretty much not every other chapter, but because the group is split into 2 at the moment. Kind of 3, but mostly 2. Some already in, I think they're in Vienna, and then the other group is kind of going to meet them, and the other group is leaving Vienna when the other one's trying to go to Vienna. And the one that's leaving Vienna is trying to go to Budapest. I'm like not hating this, I'm just not like super enjoying it, but I don't know if it's the book, if it's me, or what. So hello. So I finally did it after almost a year of reading. I finished European Travel of the Monstrous Gentlewoman. So, I know the last time we talked, I said that I was going to put this down, but I ended up not reading for a couple days, and then I was just kind of like, I'm just gonna finish this because I'm interested in the ending and I'm so close, let's just finish. So I ended up reading about like 100 pages a day for the most part. It is now March 22nd and I am so happy I finally finished this. Really proud of myself for finally finishing this, just because it's been sitting on my shoulder just there for a year. So or like 11 months. I feel like for some reason I think I started it on April 20th, so it might have been like just 11 months. But yeah, I end up enjoying this. I think the consensus of people saying it could be shorter is very much correct. There's a lot of build-up for basically one chapter, not even a full chapter, one pretty short scene, but I still really enjoyed this. The characters are just great, so I think to enjoy these stories or these books, you have to enjoy the characters, because that is a main driving force. Like, there is a decent amount of stuff that happens in this, but I don't think maybe 700 pages worth, because a lot of it is them sitting on trains and having conversations and stuff like that. But I still enjoyed this. I think I gave the first one 4 stars. I enjoyed this one a little bit less just because it was so long and maybe it didn't need to be. Giving it a 3 doesn't feel right, so it definitely feels like a 3.5. So that's what I'll give it on Storygraph. I don't have the 3rd book yet, but the last chapter of this is setting it up for the next book, and it was a really good and really intriguing last chapter. So I'm excited to get to this, to the 3rd one, to finish it. I am probably not going to get the 3rd one for a little bit. I always say I'm trying not to buy books and then I buy books, but I'm really trying not to buy books now because I just need to get my physical TBR under control. And having this finally finished, being able to say that I read one of my biggest books on my TBR just feels great. So I'm very happy about finishing this one. But now, as I said, it is the 22nd. So I have about 8-9 days to read all of this. I am obviously gonna allow myself to go into April, but I would like to, if I'm going to bring it into April, finish it pretty quickly in April. It's a little daunting, but similar to this, it'll feel really good to get. I think this is officially the biggest book on my TBR. And it's another one that's been sitting there, so whispering in my ear to finally read it. So I'm going to read it. I might start listening to it today, maybe at the gym, but I do like to listen to my true crime stuff at the gym, so I'm not sure. But I'm gonna try and read about 100 pages a day, give or take. I don't know if that's gonna happen, because this is like 802 pages. I don't know that I'm gonna read 100 pages a day. That's the goal, the idea, the ideal. This is my next project, challenge, whatever you want to call it. This isn't really part of this vlog, but technically I still need to read Heartstopper Volume 4. It isn't on my TBR game TBR, but it is. Sorry, I just saw a bird and I thought it was not a bird, something falling from the roof. But it was definitely a bird. Anyways, this isn't on my TBR game TBR, but it is on my Final Book support group TBR. So I don't have to read this. And right now I'm kind of in between if I want to read it. I kind of just want to finish like what's out, which is finishing this. But I also don't want to be finished because I think the last one comes out later this year. So then I'd have to wait. But I kind of might as well just finish it. I don't know. This will be, like, this takes me 45 minutes to an hour at most to read. Whereas obviously this is going to take me a long time. So this is going to be my first priority. So I'm really excited to get to this one. I'm nervous, but I hope I love it. We shall see. And then I can finally watch all the content that's made about this book last year when it came out. I can't really say a lot of what this is about. I don't really know what is the storyline for this one. Anyway, wish me luck. I'll maybe talk to you probably when I'm like halfway through, since I won't be able to talk about this one. I was able to talk about this one a little bit more, even though it was a sequel, just because I could do it with not many details, but even like the slight details of this one will give away parts of the first one. Also, quickly, I forget if I said this before, but I will be listening to the audiobook of House of Sky and Breath. I just read the first chapter. So it says it's 12 hours and 30 minutes because I have it on, I think I have 2.2 or 2.1 speed. I didn't listen to the first one on audio, so it's kind of interesting to hear the voices because it's not what like I was thinking, you know what I mean? So yeah, I just listened to the first chapter. So, but yeah, 12 and a half hours, which isn't too bad. Don't mind me, I'm just on the floor. I just filmed my April TBR. It's been a few days. I think it's the 29th now. I haven't talked to you in a few days. I just haven't had really the opportunity to. Since I mentioned it in this vlog, I just decided to kind of read this in this vlog. Heartstopper Volume 4. I did read this. I was gonna wait until I finished House of Sky and Breath, but I was just feeling really productive. Like I really wanted to read, but I was kind of done with reading House of Sky and Breath for the day, so I read this instead. Really enjoyed it. If you haven't checked out this series, you definitely should. Doesn't really go with the theme of this vlog, but gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. So I enjoyed the series. I'm all caught up now. If this vlog was also kind of Final Book support group, this fits the theme. There is the 5th and final one, I think, that comes out later this year. So I'm excited for that, but I'm glad I have finished or caught up with this series. I am still reading it, but I am so close to being done. I am on page 652 yesterday. So I've been reading about 100 pages a day for the most part. There was one day where I only read probably about 30 pages. So the next day I read about 170. Yesterday I worked all day, so I only ended up reading 50 pages yesterday, but I'm hoping to probably finish this today. If I read my 100 pages, I'll only have about 50 pages left, and I feel like I'm probably just gonna want to binge it. But if I don't finish it today, that's fine, but I would like to finish it tomorrow. But I am really enjoying it. I'm definitely not enjoying it as much as I loved the first one, but I'm still really enjoying it. I think kind of the reason I hadn't really talked to you was because I can't really say that much based on this being the second book, but also just like so much has happened. But I love the cast of characters in this. We see not just Bryce and Hunt, where they were the main focus of the first one. We see Rune and some other side characters that I just really was excited to have, as they're still not the main characters, but they're more at the forefront and we get their perspectives, so it's fun. Hopefully I won't need to reread this for just before the third one comes out in January, because that's less than a year, so I feel like I shouldn't need to. But I read this, like, reading this just over a year from when I read the first one, and I felt like I forgot some things, so who knows. But I don't think I can reread both of those books before the third one comes out. I'm just not a rereader kind of girl. I will maybe talk to you tonight, or probably more likely tomorrow, about my thoughts on House of Sky and Breath. I'm gonna go start listening to it as I clean up from doing my TBR. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out, because it will definitely be up before this one will be. 2 o'clock now, and I just finished House of Sky and Breath. It's the same day. I just changed my shirt, and come on. Come on. I just love this world and these characters so much, and this was so good. Like I said, I don't think I loved it as much as the first one. The ending of this, though, holy, 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 it is on the same level as love as the first book was, but there's just too much of this book that I didn't love as much to compare it, you know? But I still loved it. It's definitely getting 5 stars. Still really enjoyed it, and now I'm like, oh, I should have waited closer to the third one coming out to read this, because I just want the third one now. Like, that's literally all I want. I gotta wait 10 months or something. How am I gonna do it? I don't even have words other than I need the next book, and I need to read all of her other books, because I have not read anything, but I know names, so I know things at the end are significant, and so I just need more. And I'm really sad because I just filmed my TBR, like I said, and I did not get any of her books on my TBR for April, which I wanted to start A Court of Thorns and Roses in April. I had an idea for a vlog to do that, and now I just want to read literally anything from her. I think I'm gonna do A Court of Thorns and Roses first, just because I have the full box set already, and Throne of Glass, I only have the first book. Then I don't have to buy, I don't know, 7 books. I can't remember how many are in the Throne of Glass series, but just for my money, and my bank account wise, it'd just be smarter to read A Court of Thorns and Roses first, even though I know it was written after. It would be ideal, maybe not likely, but it would be ideal to read both of those series before the third one comes out of this. I don't know that that's gonna happen, but again, ideal. Who knows what the rest of 2023 will look like for me. I might be throwing my TBR out the window for April. I don't think so, but I probably won't finish it, because I'm probably gonna throw in at least A Court of Thorns and Roses. This was so successful, so good. I am definitely just gonna do nothing for the rest of the day and just watch people's reading vlogs of this from last year and all that kind of stuff, because I just need to see all the content on it, because I loved it. I can see why people didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. Like I said, I love the world and I love the characters so much that this is definitely 5 stars for me. And yeah, I think this video was quite a success, if I do say so myself. 4 stars for European Travel of the Monstrous Gentlewoman. I didn't even end up reading that book for a full year, so we love that. And this one, I guess technically it was a full year. Well, I know I said I didn't love the prologue, but the way that it fit into the story was good. It just didn't capture me a lot when I read it originally. Stand by not loving the prologue, but it does work with the book and doesn't change the vibe of the rest of the book, which I thought it would based on what I thought of it. Anyways, or based on how it was written and what was written, I thought that maybe that was the vibe the rest of the book was gonna follow, and it doesn't really. Don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me. Heartstopper Volume 4, which love that because this is also technically my work for Final Book Support Group. This is the final book that's out currently. European Travel just gets me one step closer to finishing that one. I'm still not going to buy the third one for a while, but I will get to it eventually. But it's not on my physical TBR anymore, so that's good. And Heartstopper, the 5th one, like I said, it comes out in later this year. So I think it was quite successful, but the main idea of this video of finishing books I've been reading for a year, definitely super successful. Liked both of the books. Loved this one. Enjoyed European Travel. She's been quite successful, so we love to see it. I think that's all from me. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and give it a big thumbs up. Both those will mean the absolute world to me. My Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads will be linked in the description box below if you're interested in checking any of those out. And let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books that I mentioned in this video and what you thought of them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!